What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another week of Q&A. How's everybody been doing? Let's go ahead and go through the chat. Anthony Bancomo says Bumblebee. Well, Bumblebee tuned it to you too. Hi. Tommy Benson, hello. JKB, what's up? Epic Chicken, always good to see you. Devil Jr., what's up? Anthony Bencoma says, I read somewhere the first person to post here gets the plugin for free. Maybe rumors, dude. So let's go. Yes. Matthias Busing says amp 2 from Gojira is so brutal. Best amp ever being modeled. Dude, this is fast becoming one of my favorite plugins for sure. I love the third amp. The third amp is just so heavy. Like, I love the second one. The second one's great too. They're all awesome, honestly. So the plan for today's live stream. So I thought we would go over the plugin, answer any questions that you guys have that I'm allowed to answer, of course, and then also show you a couple of MIDI. Just show you how easy it is to use an external MIDI controller with the plugin. So, and I'll do that within Pro Tools as well. I may show you a little bit on how to do it in the standalone version as well, though you won't be able to hear it because of the way that I have my routing set up. But yeah, so I have two sessions actually currently with the Archetype Gojira in them. One was the demo from this previous Monday that went up on the YouTube channel, so we can go over the tones from that. I can also, if you guys are interested, give you guys a sneak peek on the artist tones that's going up this Friday, which is the track I'm Awake by the artist Intervals. So if you guys are interested in seeing how I use the Archetype Gojira for that, I will happily do that. So let's just go through the chat a little bit. Matthias says, will you ever tell what amp 2 is being modeled after? You know I can't give that answer. It's not my place. Some people have guessed it already, I'm sure. But I can't, I can't personally speak to that, just because of, rules and such. Anthony Bencomo, using the MIDI expression pedal in the plugin, can I use my PreSonus 24C and my expression pedal to control it? Do I need a dedicated MIDI expression pedal, MIDI converter? I'm not familiar with the PreSonus 24C and your expression pedal to control it. I mean, as long as the expression pedal is sending out a control change value. So like I'll go over in the Pro Tools session, I have the exact MIDI command that it's my expression pedal is sending out is the control change value number 20, hashtag 27 or pound 27. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So it depends on if it's sending out a specific control change message or not. I know that my Behringer is, though I could probably get anything from like a MIDI commander and then attach an expression pedal to that as well. But it's possible. So EtherSys says, I tried to use my MIDI learn function from the Fatso, but it did not react to my master keyboard. Yes, a bit weird, lol. No, I mean, like I've used my keyboard. I don't have it plugged in at the moment, but I have used my keyboard to change the MIDI and kind of dial in. I usually use it to write automation for MIDI commands, like using using one of the wheels or something like that to change to write in automation. It could be something within the DAW that's not functioning properly. I'm not sure exactly. Yeah, okay, so a lot of people are asking about MIDI expression pedals, etc. What MIDI expression pedals are you guys using with the new Gojira plugin? It's Jason Benjamin Music asking that. Like I said, I'm using the Behringer FCB 1010. I got this specific one just because it kind of fit my needs for the work that I'm doing. So it's not necessarily that it's the best choice, but it fit what I needed it to do. But it's a solid one for a relatively affordable price. So if you get that, I think you're not going to be too disappointed. The thing personally, when I was researching some MIDI pedals, I was looking at the Behringer. I was also looking at the MIDI Commander. At the time, I didn't want to have multiple different accessories. So like with the MIDI Commander, it doesn't have expression pedals built into it. The Behringer does. So it's just kind of like I just had to buy one thing and then I had the full package. So let's see. You know, Andre asks, how long did it take the WoW pedal to get as great as it is in the final product? The tracking and polyphonic capabilities is fantastic. I'm not sure personally. I know the development of the plugin has been in development for a while, but I'm not on the developer side of the company, so I'm not sure exactly how long it took. I can only speak to the efficacy of their programming. It's a fantastic pedal. So Oilid asks, hello, any inexpensive USB MIDI controller for the Whammy, a better noise gate for the future? So we're constantly tweaking the noise gate function in the plugins. That's probably going to be updated sooner or later. So yeah, as far as like inexpensive ones, I kind of just went over. There's a handful of other ones. If you look into the Neural DSP Facebook group, as well as we now have a Discord channel, if you ask around the community, they'll give you a plethora of answers that have worked for them so far. So, all right. Well, let's see. Okay, Zerker Taldia is asking, why do the demos you make sound like it's in stereo and you're opening a mono plugin? Apart from the demos sounding with much more definition, is there something to say or better to shut it up? It's an interesting question. I'm not sure exactly which demos you're talking about, because normally when I do any sort of audio demos, if I'm doing something live, like today, I'll be doing just a little bit of riffing on the plugin. I have what's called a mono to stereo output. It's still a mono track aside from the reverbs and the plugins, or reverbs and the delays at the end. But if you're talking about like the full production demos, then yeah, it's a stereo channel that I'm doing left and right. Otherwise, I have. Well, actually, you know what? I could just show you right now. Let's go ahead and switch over to my. Let's go ahead and switch over to my DAW real quick. So like if I'm doing a breakdown of the tones that I'm using, I've already written all of this stuff in a stereo track. So I have guitar 4 and guitar 5 are my rhythms. So I'll just solo them a left and a right just so you can hear it in stereo. It's just 2 guitars. So I'll pull up one plugin and show you the components. However, these are the exact same settings on my left and right channel. So there's no real mystery there or anything like that. So when I press play, so that's generally what you're hearing is the 2 guitars left and right. I'll pull up a single instance to the plugin because, again, I just copy paste the settings from left and right. I don't really want to do anything terribly different because then it just becomes a much more involved breakdown process. So I try to keep things as simple as possible, as well as doing very little post-processing to the tones. Maybe a little bit of compression for dynamic resolve or dynamics control, but otherwise it's all pretty straightforward. Nikki North, Gojira for I'm Awake. I want to see it. Yeah, Aaron dug the tones too. I sent it to him and he liked it. Geo, what's up, dude? How's it going? Let's see. Yeah, a lot of questions about the MIDI controls. Let's see. Okay. Gnome Cannon, will these walkthroughs translate to Archetype Pliny? That's a good question. In Cubase. So yeah, I don't readily use Cubase a whole lot. However, you can set it up in the exact same process where basically all you need is a MIDI channel to basically receive the MIDI signals and then send it on to the plugin, route it to the plugin. Again, I'm not too well versed in Cubase at the moment. However, if that's something that people are interested in and there's enough demand, then I can do an additional MIDI controls or routing video for Cubase as well. But I can show you in Pro Tools the general outline of what it looks like, and it's going to be something similar to this. So let's see. So let's go back to this. Now, if I am, so I have my MIDI track and I have my guitar live track. So this is what I'm going to play some riffs out of. So the MIDI 1 track is getting MIDI commands from my Focusrite USB. And I have my FCB 1010 plugged into the back of my 18i20. From there, I have it routed out to, where is that track? Guitar Live, Archetype Gojira. So this is where that's being routed to. And then from there, all I'm doing is taking the controls that I want my expression pedal. So like if I wanted to assign my expression pedal, check this out. So I just right click. Let's actually get rid of that just so you can. So I have my expression pedal here. Enable MIDI learn. And there you go. That's literally it. If I want to turn this on and off, let's go ahead and remove that. Enable MIDI learn. That's pretty much it. Now, the general settings of the FCB 1010 is it sends out program change messages. You can change that to notes and a couple of different other ways, but I find that using program change messages just keeps it very simple, very clean and effective. But yeah, so that's basically all it is. It's pretty straightforward, which I like. Maskoff from 69 says, can I use this for the Corey Wong wah pedal too? Yes, absolutely. It works in the exact same function. All you really need to have is just to make sure that your MIDI controller is being routed somehow to the plugin. So that way the plugin can kind of like listen to your MIDI controls. That's pretty much the way to do it. All right. Oh, Cubase 5? You still got Cubase 5, man? Oilid says, my trial Gojira and all other Neural DSP plugins are not working as VSTs on Cubase 5. Should I upgrade my Cubase? I mean, honestly, like, dude, Cubase 5 is a dinosaur compared to what the current Cubase can do now. I would recommend it for sure, because I like them. If I wasn't working in Pro Tools so much, I probably would be in Cubase currently. However, I ended up having to move over to Pro Tools far more than Cubase, so I ended up just going with that as my main DAW. Johnny Tavernier says, can you do this without a DAW? Yes, you can. If you pull up the standalone, here, I'll just do that. Let's go ahead and pull this up. Hopefully this all works. Gojira, Archetype Gojira. So, okay, so this is the standalone. I left Pro Tools up behind it, but this is the standalone plugin. Let's make sure that that's switched over. Yes, okay. So this is the standalone. What you need to do is you need to go to I can speak. You need to go to your audio settings menu. So here I have like my inputs, my outputs, etc. Go down here to the MIDI input device. Check your Focusrite USB MIDI or whatever interface you're using. That's going to be, again, the way that your plugin listens to the MIDI messages, because you're sending MIDI messages to your interface. Interface is sending along to the plugin. So I can now close that. It should enable MIDI learn. Come on. There we go. Bam. Just that easy. So make sure you have whatever MIDI input device selected here in the audio settings. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. So let's go ahead and remove that. I'm going to close this. All right. Okay, so Broken Sky asks, now the Gojira is out, will other suites get an update? Yes, there are updates planned for pretty much all of the plugins currently. So, I mean, that's a pretty simple question to answer. Yes, we are working on updates for all of the plugins. Yeah, Meskov69 says, make sure you don't accidentally select the output level. Yes. That would be terrible. Unless you want some sort of cutoff. You can actually program the CC values to go up to a certain extent. So you could potentially do like a cutoff with one of your expression pedals and then just full on, you know, to up to 0 dB. Yeah. Okay, so the Fat Bear asks, why is my Archetype Nolly sounding crackling when I output the monitor sound using Reaper DAW? Probably because your buffer size is set too small. So like right now I have my buffer size set to 256, so that way when I start playing, I get as little, you know, just as little latency as possible. If I were to push my buffer to, say, 64 samples or 128, that could potentially, with a whole ton of plugins open and a whole bunch of like effects going, that could introduce crackling because the CPU isn't fast enough to keep up with the load. All right. Anthony Bencomo says, great news. I can plug my MIDI into the sustain port of my Arturia Keylab using a TRS cable, pedalless Fender light. I use the MIDI learn function that Steven just showed us. Oh, great. Excellent. I'm glad that worked for you. Fantastic, dude. Congrats. Pershuria says, hello. I have exams tomorrow and I'm sure I'm going to fail. Dude, you got to prioritize your education, man. Definitely. Chucky Bear, any plans on a standalone Whammy pitch shifter neural plugin? Would love to have the pitch shifting option with the Nolly plugin. You know, so I've seen this a bunch of times before. This is, you know, people asking for like individual components, and it's simple enough in order to, if you wanted to have any of these components by themselves, it's simple enough to do this in your DAW or in like a modular pedal plugin called like a Cush View Elements. But here's the thing. So I'll show you how I would do this. If I wanted to have the wow pedal in front of the Archetype Nolly, this is how I would set this up. So I have my Archetype Gojira. I'm going to mute the output just in case. So let's go ahead and go with the Nolly stereo. That's fine. Give it a second. All right. So I'm going to turn the gate off. I'm going to lower the input just in case. Let's go with a stereo input. Go back to the Archetype Gojira. Now I have to turn everything off that I don't want. So if I just want the wow pedal in front of my pedal, this is what I would do. So you can right click or double click the icons to turn them off. So this is the only thing that's active anymore. So then you can just open up your Nolly and then that's it. So if I was to, let's try this out. Go back to the Archetype Gojira. So it's that simple. So, and then that also saves you from having to buy an additional outboard plugin. So that it is what it is, you know. I get the want to have something that's simple, I suppose, you know, just to be able to pull up a plugin and call it good. But here's actually something that you could potentially do, is saving a preset that's only a single plugin. So like if I wanted to, I can now save this as just the wow pedal. And then what you could do to kind of hack the system a little bit, instead of having a user preset, what you would do is have your wow pedal, go into your folders and then create an additional folder that's just components or whatever like that. So that way you can just go through, instead of factory artist Gojira, you would have an additional folder here called components, and then move your wow pedal, your octave pedal, or whatever pedal you wanted to have individually, pull that up, load the preset, and then you call it good. Yeah, no worries, man. I'm glad that that helps. Honestly, like we try to make this, we try to make these plugins as flexible as possible, so that way you guys get the most use out of them. So, yeah, I mean, like you could literally mix and match components from any of the plugins that you want. You could have the wow pedal in front of the Archetype nollies, third head into the impulse responses of the Fort and Cali, into the reverb and delay of the Archetype Plany. So you could go pretty wild with these plugins. Just simply turn off the components, make sure that your gate is set only on the first plugin in the chain. You're good. That's a good question. Rick Kukuza asks, if you're only using the wah, does it still hit the CPU like using everything in the plugin? It shouldn't. Let's see. Let's mute that output. Let's see what happens to my CPU. So I actually have the entire session active. So if you see over here, I have a whole bunch of Archetype Gojiras up here, and my mixing, mastering chain, everything for this session, because I'm actually doing this in the demo session that went up on Monday. So all of this is still active. So my CPU is kind of high only because I have maybe about a dozen instances of Archetype Gojira, as well as, you know, Parallax and a whole bunch of other garbage. So if I was to, so let's say it's around 65, 68. So if I turn all of these on, kind of bumps it up, but not by much. Honestly, this is one of the best optimized plugins we've done so far. Like, this is such a good plugin, considering that I can have my buffer setting size to 256 while I have the rest of the plugins on in the session is fantastic. Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. Okay, that's a good question. Jason Clement asks, sorry if you've answered this already, but do you use Intel or Ryzen in your CPU? I have the Intel i9 9900K or something like that. Yeah, it's the 8-core. It's a beefy processor. I knew that when I bought this computer, I was going to be doing big sessions like this, as well as kind of demanding like streaming and stuff like that. So I ended up getting like the best processor I could. However, if you're just doing your own demos and stuff like that, you probably could get away with an i5 or i7. The only thing that that I would suggest after that, so like say, I think we're still on my, yeah, we're still on my screen. So like if I'm working through a session, you'll see that there's various tracks that are frozen. And what that means is it temporarily renders the audio made by that that plugin. So like Guitar 2 and Guitar 3 are my intro tracks. And these are frozen in this state, so that way the Archetype Gojira isn't taking up any CPU. It only takes a couple of minutes to freeze tracks as well. But that's a really good, it's a good, good practice to incorporate, because then while you're mixing, you don't have to worry about Pro Tools like just saying like not enough CPU. Sorry, bro. Which it does sometimes. That's okay. It is what it is. Gotcha. Okay, cool. M1 Mac, it's going to be huge. I've never been much of a Mac person. I like Macs, and I'll work on a Mac if I need to, but I've never been too into Macs. So, let's see. Okay, Timo Tato. Weird question. I'm getting a new Axe IO interface, which has an input for an expression pedal on its backside. Will that alone work for this plugin? Thank you. I mean, that should. I think that should. I'm not familiar with the Axe IO interfaces, but if it has an input for an expression pedal, I'm hoping then that, you know, that translates to a control change message. So, because here's how the plugin sees the MIDI messaging. So if you open up your MIDI mappings menu, you'll see CC absolute. This is the MIDI messaging that it accepts for a wow, or for the expression pedal. And as you can see, that's CC number 27 that my expression pedal is coming out of. I can change that, but the default settings is still fine. So hopefully that helps. Yeah, so yeah, it is a control change message. CC absolute specifically. Interesting. Do you ever recommend a MIDI pedal for the wah? Okay, so Matt Fugate asks, I'll probably be answering this a couple of times through the stream, so I apologize to anybody who's heard this message already before, but he asks, do you have a recommended MIDI pedal for the wah? I use the Behringer FCB 1010. It is okay. It works for my purposes. I know that there are a ton out there that are just as good. I mean, when it comes to MIDI and expression pedals, they're all going to be different flavors of the same sauce. Like there's not going to be a huge difference aside from like what you're looking for out of your expression pedal. So like my MIDI controller, you'll see that it's all in one package. And that's what I wanted. I wanted a singular board that had a couple of expression pedals and as many buttons as I needed to do my work with Neural. And that being said, if you wanted something that was a little bit smaller form factor, like the MIDI Commander, you could then plug a couple of expression pedals into the MIDI Commander. And because you know it's much smaller form factor, it's a little bit smaller footprint. So if you had like a pedal board and you wanted something to go on your pedal board with the rest of your like your gates or your overdrives or whatever, you could then use the MIDI Commander and a couple of expression pedals and it would be much smaller. So it depends on what you want out of your wah pedal. So do some research, check in with the Neural DSP crowd as well in the Facebook group, as well as our Discord channel. So if you go to either of those and ask about MIDI controllers, you will get a ton of answers from people who have already experimented with them. It's a great wealth of knowledge, honestly. We have a lot of really awesome people that are very, very helpful in the community. So Broken Sky is asking 256 buffer and you can still track comfortably. Which interface are you using? I just have the Scarlett AT920. So 256 is normally what I track at unless I'm doing something super technical. If I'm doing something super technical, then I might bump it down to 128. But that's generally where I feel comfortable with. I'm also very, very comfortable with editing too. So I can know that my track is going to be maybe a little bit off from my grid, and it's totally fine. I was talking about this with somebody else the other day that they were tracking something and for some reason they would look at their waveform and it was completely off. And it's like, well, okay, if you don't have your buffer set up right, or if you have your signal going through a bunch of plugins, that's going to cause latency. So you have to know that latency is going to play a part in your recording, even if you hear everything perfectly through your monitors. So you have to understand how to move your track around, you have to understand how to move your track around, how to edit, how to make sure that everything is to grid. Because honestly, sometimes it's just a matter of moving your waveform back like 10 or 20 milliseconds, and then you're good. You're locked into the grid. Okay, so this is something that I've seen this question pop up a couple of times, and I'll address this. Eduardo saying Sanagua. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Says, have you heard that there are some neural hacks or cracks out there? What do you think about that? I've always been a person to support the publisher of a plugin. When I first started out in audio, I did get a whole bunch of cracked programs. I got cracked Cubase 5. I got cracked Waves Mercury bundle or whatever, because at the time I couldn't afford them. Right. However, there was a certain realization that I made, especially when I wanted to do this professionally, that these people, this is their livelihoods, and I couldn't take from their livelihoods. They built this thing, and I wanted to support their efforts because they made really great products that allowed me to make my music and my art. Not only that, but also as a professional, I could not, in good conscience, use cracked programs while trying to sell my own services, because that's just unethical. However, speaking to the community's reaction to it, it's been very, very positive, and we've received a huge outpouring of support. A lot of people are aware that there are cracks out there right now, but there's a couple of issues. I mean, there's always going to be stability issues with cracked versions, but also the community as a whole is incredibly supportive and is diligent in making sure that they support the company, because we have a loyal fan base. We have a community that cares about what we do, and they want to see us survive, and they want to see us, succeed. So, I personally am not worried about the cracks. They are out there, and some people will. I figured it was a matter of time till that happened. However, I'm not worried about it. Support has not slowed in any way, shape, or form for us. So it is what it is, and we will just continue to move along without really thinking too much about it, because basically our plans for the future are bigger than a couple of our plugins getting cracked. And that's essentially the way that I view it. It's not exactly the message I was trying to get across, but that's fine. Okay. So David Terry's asking, looking to get this plugin and maybe the Nolly one as well, and upgrading my gig setup to a quad Cortex. Could you go over how we would transition from recording to live between the plugin and box? Okay, so this is a good question. So as far as you getting like the Nolly and the Gojira, those will be ported over to the quad Cortex from your user account to the quad Cortex in an update later on down the line. So in that sense, I mean, like if you're getting a quad Cortex, you're going to be able to use that within your DAW anyway. So recording, like you could use your quad Cortex as your interface. You can have all of your presets and everything set up on your quad Cortex for recording and tone shaping and everything like that. And then you just take those presets and put them in a set list for your live settings. Like it's literally going to be so simple to just have everything in the box in your quad Cortex, and then you just take that from your studio, move that to your rig, and then just go. Like I'm personally really excited about that because I will have everything on my quad Cortex. So if I ever play a live gig, I can then just pick and choose and just drag whatever presets I need for, you know, this gig or that gig into a set list. I set them up on my controller, so that way I can switch my presets or my scenes or whatever I want, and then just take that from the studio out there, and I'll have the confidence in knowing that the tones are going to sound good wherever I take them, because I know what they sound like on my monitors. So that's sort of the. I hope that answers your question. Jason Clement, for the QC to render audio, do you need something like a Focusrite to receive the audio out, or do you just need the USB to do that? I was a little confused on how that worked as an interface. It's just going to be over USB. You would choose that as your audio device, and then just have the routes to USB outputs, and that's it. Yeah. Let's see. Shane Dobby, this is a good question. Will Quad Cortex have plugin or feature for easy recall when opening old DAW sessions? Yes. As I mentioned, the playlists feature is going to be really, really great for you to use on any of your sessions, because your playlists are going to let you know which, like, you can create your presets in a playlist, and then save that playlist to your cloud, and then that can be recalled later on, because then you'll just have those available to you. Let's see. So I get this question every now and again. Mark Keller is asking, can you reveal any new artist products coming out? I can't. You know I can't. That would spoil the surprise. So nope, cannot talk about it. Because honestly, like, it's way more fun to be able to surprise you guys than not. You know what I mean? Let's see. Just looking through the chat. All right, so 1042. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comments in the chat. If you guys are interested, I can show you a little bit of the intervals, artist tones. Let me know if that's something you want to check out. Okay, absence within. I did show how you could get the pitch shifter separately. Okay, so I'll go over that really, really quickly before we talk about anything else. So one last time, we'll do the volume changes when I change scenes. Okay, sorry about that. Let me double check this real quick. Okay, I have to check this. That is at 0 for no, my settings are all the same, unless that's just the transition or something like that. I could have something on there that changes a little bit, but anyway. So there was a question that I got. I'm trying to remember the name. Okay, so we'll get to the intervals in a second. Let me go over. Okay, so absence within. This is his question. Awesome plugin again. Could we get the pitch shifter separately though? Okay, I'm going to show you how to do this one last time for the stream. So it's about 10:43, so I got about 20 minutes left. Let's go ahead and make sure that I am on my correct scene right now. Okay, and this is the same. Remove. Let's just go ahead and build a whole new chain. So let's say I wanted to get the pitch shifter by itself, and I'm just going to build a ridiculous chain right now and just show you how I'd go about it. So let's go ahead and put the pitch shifter. No, you know what? Okay. Let's do the Kali Suite mono. Because at the very beginning, what I want the Fort and Zool. Let's turn off the hex drive. So I have the normal neural gate. I have the Fort and Zool here. Okay, and then let's go ahead and go to, what else do I want? Let's do okay, let's put Gojira. We'll put the pitch shifter in. So what I'm doing is I'm opening up the plugins, and at the top, I am right-clicking the icons to disengage or turn off any of the components within. So the pedals are off, the head's off, impulse response off. I'm going to turn my gate to 0. I'm going to turn on my wow pedal. So that's there. So now it's only the wow pedal that's affecting the signal chain as it goes through. So from there, I can go to the Corey Wong, because I want to use that for my, I want to use that for an overdrive, tone up, etc. I think you're kind of getting the point here. So I can just keep going. Nolly. Let's use this, and then the plenty. Mono to stereo. Because what I want to have happen is I want to use the effects, but I want the delay and the reverb in stereo. So that way I can have nice ping pong delay if I wanted to. The reverb is a nice stereo signal. So there we go. So like this is my setup. I have the Fortin Kali using the Fortin Zool and the gate, going into the Archetype Gojira for the wow pedal. And then the Archetype Corey Wong from my fourth position compressor, tuber. That's going out to the Archetype Nolly for my main tone, which is the third head, etc. Impulse responses. And then finally the Archetype Plenty for the delay and reverb. So that's how I would go about utilizing individual components within any of the plugins. So this, in this sense, this makes all the plugins modular, meaning that you can use the components by themselves. You just have to set it up that way. So yeah, James Callahan, Zool plus Neural Gate, both? Yes. Yeah, you could use both. Absolutely. I mean, like they're going to kind of take care of like different aspects of your tone. You can use them to mix and match how you would gate your signal. So like you can use the Neural Gate to kind of block out the majority of the sound when you're not playing your guitar. Then you can use the new Zool Gate to clean up that close, right? That like you play a note that last little noise. The Zool's great at cleaning that up. So yeah, you can do any of those things. Absence within, I guess what I meant was to be purchasable separately, maybe with modes for every down or up tune note. Unfortunately not. Okay. It's a whammy pedal, yeah. Colton Chapman, is the wow pedal more akin to a wah or a whammy pedal? Do you need the pitch shifter enabled with it in order to do those Gojira dime bag squeals? Okay, so let's go back to the Archetype Gojira. So we'll talk about just the positions and how they interact with your sound. So like the Fatso position, you have a dry wet knob, so this is going to be your clean signal mixed with a pitched signal at the heel position. It's going to be an octave below. Okay, we're still on scene. An octave below, and then as you move up, that's going to go to an octave above your signal, and this will control the mixture of the pitched and your clean signal. For those Gojira or dime bag squealies, blade 1 and blade 2 position. Blade 1 at the heel position is just your signal, and then when you go up to the toe position, that's going to be an octave above for blade 1, and then blade 2 is 2 octaves above. So for any of those like any of those squealies or anything like that, it's going to be blade 1 or blade 2 position. James Callahan, yes, the Gojira does have automatic oversampling. So yeah, just because it's missing the oversampling switch does not mean it's not oversampling. Okay. Out of pure curiosity, can we hear that signal chain? Sure, yeah, why not? Why not? I have no idea what this is going to sound like. Maybe ridiculous, maybe not. Who knows? If I was to change this, especially if I was going with like lead or something like that. Not warmed up at all right now. Yeah. Oh no! Are we getting DI? Fuck. Yes, we are. That's my bad. Yeah, Archetype DI by Neural DSP. Lols. Lols. All right, here we go. So, last 10 minutes, I'll go ahead and give you guys a sneak peek to the Archetype Gojira used in the intervals artist tones that I'm working on. Let's go ahead and save. We'll just close session. Okay, Caden says, do you know what the recommended sampling rate is for a Core i5 processor with 8 gigabytes of RAM? He's using the Archetype Abasi. Notice the tones do not come out as clean as some demos on YouTube. Okay, so there's a couple of parts to that question. Intervals top 5, there we are. A couple of parts to this question. So normally I record at 48 kilohertz. The session sample rate is 48 kilohertz. You can probably get away with 44.1, but I like 48 kilohertz. Things sound a little cleaner. Things process a little easier. So I just do 48 kilohertz for my session sample rate. Okay, Ishan says your neighbors must be happy. All right, listen. Whoa, what's that? What's that sound? Man, that's a lot of fuzz. All right, let's see if I can get this make active. Sampled as fuck. Yeah, sure. Is there a problem with that? I don't think so. I mean, honestly, like I'm a producer working out of my living room, so I can't use a full drum set. So I end up using Get Good Drums. It's what it is, bro. It is what it is. Because to me, my job is to show you guys how to use the plugins to their fullest extent. So if I end up using samples for the Get Good Drums or Superior Drummer for my kits, that doesn't matter. It's not the objective, dude. So, whatever. Yeah, hey Sean. So, okay, here's usually what I do. For the artist tones, I'll usually put up the presets and the stems, so that way you guys can have the actual recorded tracks that I made. So that way you guys can kind of see how the tracks sound, how the plugins sound on it. So like, if you see the guitar tracks that I have on here, I tried to do as little post-processing as possible and try and get the main tone in here in the plugin, rather than do the plugin, get the tone kind of in the ballpark, and then and then do a whole bunch of post-processing. So like, let's take a look at this intro guitar here for a second. So I start off with the Archetype Gojira. I have the overdrive pedal on, brightening up the tone, bringing the level into the first head and the third cabinet. And then I have the delay and the reverb on. Let's listen to this in solo. Let's get that click count off. Only during recording. So like, I have a Pro Q3 here just doing some dynamic control around 215 hertz, as well as just a little bit of presence control. So because this Pro Q3 is on my guitar rhythm bus, so all of my rhythms are going to this. So I decided to do a little bit of a cut on the top end, but that's pretty much it. The guitar doesn't have any EQs on it. Then it just goes straight to the mix bus, which has just my usual mastering settings. So I tried to get the presets as much to the tone as possible. So like, the Gojira does this really good like twangy tone by itself, and then I use the Pawn Shop compressor just for dynamic control. Matchless. No, thanks for letting me know about that. It says, any chance of updating the Carnival Artist Tones link? It just doesn't lead anywhere. I will, I'll take a look at that today. Make sure that gets squared away. If you, I can also send you the link directly if you want to email me at steven@neuraldsp.com. I can send it to you directly, but I will fix the link as well. Ken Yilmas says, can we download your presets on Archetype Gojira plugin? If you go to the video that was dropped on Monday, you can download the presets that were for the demo that I produced. The presets for this one will be in the video this Friday. Andy Sanchez, this is the FCB 1010 that I'm using by Behringer. I use that for all my MIDI controls. Yeah. Okay, so hey Sean, as much as I appreciate the breakdown of the tones and how good they sound, I was actually asking for the raw stems of the track. Yeah, that's what I said. I'll put the stems up in a download link in the when the video drops, so that way you guys have my DIs. Now, none of this is from the original track. By. This is me recreating the track as close as I can to the original mix. So the drum programming and all of this was done by me and my assistant, Charlie Abend. So like, the programming to the drums, like the MIDI programming, that was Charlie. The bass programming, that was me. just by ear picking out notes. The guitar playing and recording, that was me. So none of this is from the original. So if you're asking for stems to the original tracks, I don't have them, unfortunately. So Absence Within, yes, I did. He said, he's asking, did you go over how you use the foot controller earlier in this stream? Yes, I did. It's just a matter of getting your MIDI track set up to communicate your MIDI controller to the plugin. And then from there, it's just enable MIDI learn, hit your buttons a couple of times, or your expression pedal, and then disable MIDI learn, and you're good to go. It's pretty simple. Mikey, thank you so much. He says, awesome job, Steven. Corey LTM says, wow, GG, that sounds as tight as the original. I'm just really good at editing. No, I spent probably two weeks plus maybe trying to get just this section down. So like this is what I did. I didn't do the entire track. I did basically just a handful of tones. So the intro, the riff, the lead, and then the rhythm behind that, and then just the outro. So like I'm only doing about like a minute and a half, 2 minutes of the track. I left out a whole bunch because it was like, well, that's cool, but it's not adding anything, and I don't have the time to add more stuff. Like this already was enough on my plate to keep me busy for a long time. You can ask my wife. It was me just noodling on guitar at night, just trying to get, especially like some of these like little quick licks. You'll see on my timeline, hard lick was my note, because that's the that one's hard, but this one's also hard. It was hard. It was hours of me just like going over that do 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 do, like it was ridiculous. So Release From Within says, I'm new to the world of Neural DSP. Any chance of sales coming up? We do run sales. Go ahead and go to the website and sign up for our newsletter. That is the easiest and fastest way to get notified about our sales. You can also jump into our Facebook group because you'll see people posting about it when it's released. We also do now have a Discord channel, which we just built up. I think we have now over 1,000 followers on there, which is pretty cool. So yeah, definitely check it out. Yes. Okay, so Jack is asking, what drum plugin did you use? For this one, I ended up using the Get Good Drums P4 kit. If you want, I can just show you I can play the drum mix so you can hear what it sounds like. I really like the P4 kit. It's been like majority of my sessions have used the P4 kit. I've also used the Bober Shell signature kit from Room Sound a whole bunch. That's a great rock kit. I've used some of the Superior Drummer 3 kits as well, but most of the time my template's just kind of set up for the P4 kit. Matchless. That's a good question. Any chance to see Tosca Artist Tones vid in the future? They're relatively small. I know they're relatively small, but there's a lot of interesting tones there. There is. I mean, honestly, like I'm a big fan of Herbea. I just had him on the Q&A last week, which was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed chatting with him. I would love to actually, because his tones, like I try to model his tones as much as I can, not to like rip him off or anything, but like as an example for good solid rhythm and lead tones, like he just has the ear to pick those things out. So I would love to do that. Hopefully I would actually even like to do possibly a collaboration with him, but we'll see if that happens. Oilid says, beautiful drum sound. Thank you. I mean, I wish I could take more credit for the drums themselves, but I feel like the mix actually came together fairly well. This one I had to be pretty aggressive on to get that just like, there's a really aggressive drum mix in the original sounds, in the original song, and I realized that I have a template and I have a particular way of doing my drum mixes, and then I listened to the original and I'm like, oh, that's not okay. I need to get way more aggressive with this. So I had to do like clippers and all sorts of stuff on it, but it ended up sounding pretty sick. I'm pretty happy with the way it's turned out so far. So. Yeah, Ishan, so if you go to the Neural YouTube channel, click live videos, you'll see Rebea's was last week. And we had a great chat. It was like an hour and a half long, I think. Stanley, which Superior Drummer kits? I actually do kind of a hybrid kit. If you get the Superior Drummer 3, I actually have like some presets set up. So I just went through and like, you know, just click, and like I'd hear like the snare click, 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 and then just picked out the one that I liked the best. Matthias, what's up, dude? Yeah, he says Rebea's tones are sick as fuck, and I agree. Yeah, Simon Grove has cool aggressive drum mixes. I totally agree. Sasha says Death and Darkness is the best kit from Superior Drummer, or from Tube and Track, excuse me, is the best kit for such music these days. Yeah, I've heard it's great. I haven't tried it myself yet though. Oh, okay. Any visual cue? Not sure what this is asking. Kyo Sounds asks, any visual cue on the note that you're dropping to, other than inserting a tuner after the plugin with Gojira's wow pedal? Well, I just know from the user manual, from the programming, the wow pedal drops in its fatso position to an octave below. If you wanted to, I saw this in a comment. During the in the Facebook group, actually, somebody was like, oh, if you use a tuner after the fact, you can then dial in a drop tuning. So if you wanted to be like a full step down, or, you know, maybe a fifth or a fourth or whatever interval you wanted to be below the instrument, you could take the wow pedal and then just drop it that far. Like, you could probably automate it in your DAW to a specific value set, so that way you have it pitched to a specific value. So that way, like, so this guitar, the Strandberg, has a floating bridge system, so I can't retune this very easily. Even just doing standard to drop D has me like twisting knobs for a bit, which is not my favorite thing in the whole world. So yeah, you could take the wah pedal, or the wow pedal, and then drop it down a specific value, and then you would have your lower tuning, which is kind of cool. Yeah. So that pretty much answers your question. Yes, Matchless, I think he means in between heel and toe position. Yes. All right, so it is 11:10, and I have some more work to do today, specifically on this mix. I have a couple of things left to do before I upload the final mix. So, yeah, let's go ahead and put in for final questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. And then we'll go ahead and call it a day. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed the intervals tones. I'm having a lot of fun with these. What I really want to do actually for the tone breakdown that'll be out next week is show you my approach on how to get the same kind of twangy tones in other Neural DSP plugins as well. So that way it's not just the Archetype Gojira. But yeah, no, just if you got additional questions, put them in the comments. I will get to them. Matthias, my dude, says all good here, buddy. Nice to see you. Nice to see you too. I'm glad you jumped into the stream. Let's see. Sasha says I'm using Pliny for saxophone records, and it's surprisingly awesome. Dude, yeah, I could definitely see that. Especially like that first channel. It's this great, like, I don't know, it's a great saturator. I use it on stuff that's not guitars all the time, and it's really, really cool to have that. It adds a little bit of presence, adds a little bit of saturation. It's just really cool sounding. Jack, any Quad Cortex news for us that have pre-ordered? Sign up for the email list. You'll get notifications. If you're not already signed up for the email list, you'll get all of your big announcements through there for sure. Oilid says, Neural DSP, no question, your plugins kick ass. I appreciate that. Wish I could take credit for them, but I'm not a programmer. I just play the guitars and I twist the knobs and it sounds good. So. My pleasure. Wanted Peak, not a question, but thanks for all the info on the plugin. It's definitely the best guitar plugin I've ever used. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you saying that. Chaos Chow Forever. Which IRs do you prefer for the plugin, the ML SoundLab ones or the Nolly ones? I think they're all pretty good for their own like matched sets. Like, they fit their plugins well. I'll put it at that. I think the ML SoundLabs ones are fine. Nolly does a fantastic job. I think that his IRs are very well matched for mix ready tones. Usually with the nameless, I might have to do some presence control, but I find that the Nolly ones are very spot on. So, but then again, like I can't really say anything bad about the ML SoundLab ones either because they sound great for what they are. So awesome. Cool. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you all so much for hanging out on this stream. This is a ton of fun. Again, this is, I feel like I say this almost every week, but this is genuinely one of my favorite aspects of the job, that I get to interact with you guys on a one-on-one basis. Hopefully I helped you guys with the MIDI controllers questions, getting your WoW pedal to work with your MIDI controllers. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and call that a day. So yeah. Thank you all so much. I'm rambling now. I'm going to go ahead and call this a day. And I think that's the third time I've said that. We will see you all in the next one. Look forward to the Archetype tones, artist tones video of intervals this Friday. I'll do a performance, and then the following week is going to be a breakdown. Again, check out our Facebook groups as well as our new Discord. And we will see you all in the next one later on.